is this going to be all the wizards, or can I also add my cognoscenti inside to this?
Yes.
Almost put my roll down as 1d6, and now I have to edit it again. That 11 helps.
Yeah, that's two successes. The thing is, you've just like Duncan found, you find that among your peers, there's a lot of word for a reason, right? And technically, it's not impossible. What they did was very, very difficult, and very expensive, and expensive in more than just dinars. It's a matter of being able to make the kind of arrangements and sort of convince essentially mortal beings to take this an awful risk and do more than one. So whoever is doing this, they don't have a lot of connections back in Columbia, but maybe some of the independents, they're asking questions, of course. They are very worried. Somebody was intent on doing maximum damage. And in many ways, this was flexing. Right? Somebody was flexing muscle. But also, you might get the feeling that this also was an act of desperation as well. So it's a combination.
Right,
yes, it's a lot of strength, but also desperation. Like this needed to be done. That whatever is happening, somebody somewhere might be acting in a very, restricted time window. Right. This is almost a one in a lifetime kind of shot. Right. And it's very difficult to pull off. And they're more concerned about somebody that desperate than maybe somebody with that kind of resources, right? Right, because you can have the resources and never use them, but somebody who's that desperate and has, or at least had the resources, or willing, or just careless, either careless or desperate, that's somebody you want to, or a group of people, and they suspect it's a group of people.
Yeah, because cornered animals are dangerous.
Yeah,
especially when they're that desperate.
Yeah, they say they also made some connections. No, that's not going to happen. That's some other character. Never mind. I don't want to mix and match two people here.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what they're concerned about. And of course, now they're worried that there's. They also already heard about what happened in the mansion, so they know that they had dealing with necromancers and also powerful elementalists. They don't know who else is going to show up. You have an inkling who could be showing up, of course.
Spencer will mention that there are definitely cognoscenti involved.
Yeah, so somebody's
willing. You'll call them rogue elements.
Yeah, and maybe it is a cabal of different magic, spellcasters pooling their resources. What do they want? Are they acting for some political masters? Do they have their own goal? You don't know. They don't know, but that actually has them very worried. Yeah.
Spencer will certainly relay this information to Gregory and Brother Vesper.
Mm-hmm. Brother Vesper, you notice that even among the workers here, and you don't have to roll because you have you spend more time with the other people. People are nervous, people are angry, people are going hungry as well, in spite of all the hard work you're putting in. And the king is trying hard to
why are people going hungry? Are they hoarding food for a siege or something?
It's more the fact that there's been, as you know, multiple losses of crops over the years, right? Drought and flooding.
It's the general poverty. So people are mad over the general poverty.
Yeah.
The war is just not
and the
good
war
news.
And now the war, of course, means that more resources are going to go to the people fighting the war. They take priority. Although the king has been trying very carefully to make sure that, setting up soup kitchens and stuff like that, so people have to eat, but there's always more people than the resources that they have. So you really get that sense, and again, it's a sense of anger based on hunger and uncertainty. As of yet, it is not focused. Although you heard different people being blamed at different times. Sometimes it's a cabal of nobles. Maybe those evil sorcerers are in their tower somewhere. Maybe we should go down and burn them or something. Maybe it's, there was there's people actually believing that the accusations of the young king to the current high king, that he was the one that murdered not only his middle brother, but also maybe murdered his father, right? There's a lot of rumors and stuff like that is going on, but not one that is sort of the thing that people are focusing on, where you can feel people sort of looking for a reason and someone to blame. For all the ills. People don't like to have simple solutions to complex problems. If they can find one solution, no matter how ridiculous it might sound, they're going to
Well,
go
obviously, the solution is that we should call for foreign aid. I will once again repeat to Lord Gregory that I really think we should call in the foreign aid. Not only is this land torn by poverty and strife and could also use the help, but Spencer also informs us that there is a foreign invasion by wizardly powers.
Well, obviously, we help the peasantry out by taking out the invaders. And that might be outside the scope of our mission. We need to rescue exactly one person somehow.
Perhaps there's another tactic you can take?
Well, I'm listening. We have plenty of time. They're still moving the wood.
Well, and I'm assuming we're all gathering and meeting at this point, just so I can interject, I guess, at this.
Yeah, of course.
Well, word on the street is quite interesting because a lot of them are looking at folks like Brother Vesper over here, which, by the way, you are pretty famous out there with the general public, sir. You have quite a strong reputation right now. Many of them are looking at the church as being their sole solace, their hopeful beacon with all this madness going on. And the fact that everybody is already starving is already making people desperate. You know that rise in piracy we've been dealing with? The fact that you were asking about that before, how we were being besieged and seeing many, many more people turn to banditry across the lands? A lot of that is because people want to eat. There's no greater conspiracy on that other than that they're starving. I would actually suggest a simple mantra for you, sir. Whoever controls the grain controls the people. If we can find a way to control the grain and give it to the people, we can actually solve a lot of that doubt and bolster our own defenses other than necessarily just going to war and gallivanting against the king's, brother. Which might help, let's be honest, but if they're getting aid from a foreign power, they have the aid that they need exactly, which is that grain. Because I guarantee most of that's coming from Calabria at this point.
Oh, don't forget meat. We do have consummate herbivores as well.
Yes. Raiding their supplies would definitely be a great win on our part. I'm not sure it would be enough to feed a people for an entire year, but it would be at least something and a good show gesture. But we do have our mission. If the opportunity arises, we will have to make the decision in haste.
I think the raid would be a possible start. I think we need to think bigger.
Well, we will have extra men. Maybe, again, the opportunity has to present itself. If it does, maybe such a raid could be successful and serve as a distraction from our true mission. So it is something to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate your input.
I smile and nod. Thank you, sir.
What about you, Vesper? How do you feel about the state of the common man in the midst of all this war?
I would repeat that. Look, the letter is ready to go anytime, sir. We could. I mean, we've got poverty. Your enemies are only going to exploit this
The church
opportunity.
connection.
Yeah, well, they're only going to exploit first the discontent of the people, and secondly the war. Also, if there's this much wizardry involved, both the cognoscente and elementalists, there might actually be something to the pagans' claim that there is some sort of they've deciphered some sort of manuscript that communicates some sort of terrible thing that lurks beneath the Isles, or some way to wield this magical power, and they have a narrow window of time in which to manipulate it, which would explain why they're pressing so forward here. And as everyone knows, the enemy of sorcerers and witchcraft everywhere is the church. And there's no force more powerful than they to combat the willfulness and worldliness and base rapacity that is contained within the necromancers and other malefactors who would seek to use this world to serve their own needs and to poison the well of the greater good. So ready to go anytime.
Yep. So lessons. I was in the city for a while, and it's also been a few days. I probably posited the idea while I was talking with people. What's the response I got back on that? What am I working with?
It's a hard sell.
Signal or
although it's very interesting because, if you could actually make the enemy of my enemy my friend, in the sense of direct the church against your enemies, right? After all, if they seem to be cooperating with these things, the thing is, people don't want them in the capital. They don't want them in their territories. But we have a rebel faction who clearly is no longer part of our forces.
Right.
So if they're fighting each other, right, Calambrians are fighting people who are allied with Calambrians, then everybody wins.
More the victory to us.
Yeah, as long as you're not inviting them to just march your troops through the streets of the capital, that's that's the thing. That the king and most of the nobles, even nobles that are friendly to Columbia, like, we're willing to, it's the difference between we want more money, we want more trade, versus, okay, we now have to give our position. Remember, this already has happened. The reason why you have mostly lions and felines in particular in charge of, they're the high king and the family are all lions, and you're part of the nobility, and not foxes and wolves as it used to be, mostly gray foxes and wolves, is because about 300 years ago there was another civil war. A foreign prince came in and was like, oh, perfect, I'm going to bring peace and prosperity to everybody. Make me your high king. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And yes, they brought in prosperity and all things, but a new church was introduced, now became the old church. I mean, there were massive changes because somebody decided to play, William de Batard, and maybe less of a bastard, but still kind of played the same role. Right?
So what I'm at least getting here is then that it would be acceptable to actually send out this letter and make the attempt at the very least,
depending on how you phrase it and how you, and who do you aim it.
And I trust Vesper to definitely do all the things that I have warned him about, and to not suggest marching people straight into the capital to take charge and things like that. Vesper is my trusted advisor. He would never do something like that and insist that maybe a theocracy needs to be installed suddenly.
Not immediately, no. If it takes a dozen or a century, that's fine. We just need to baby step.
So I will, in our discussion here at the table, then I'll say, Vesper, I grant you leave to write as you have written and send this letter as we are marching out on our mission.
I just need your signet ring stamp on it right here, sir.
Oh yes, the ring. I'll get out.
I wouldn't want any inconvenience at all.
You did read the letter, didn't you?
Oh, what? That was Vesper's job.
Just to be certain.
Can I read the letter quickly before he just?
Are you
walks
literate?
away?
Do you have the gift of literacy?
Of course.
Oh.
I mean, the letter would say, like I said, seeing as, the Church of Penitence and collaborate. I mean, basically, I'm saying, like, we formally ask the church to send, aid in whatever form they seem appropriate.
Yes,
for
they're
the-
wizards.
For the recompense. I mean, yeah, it does. It would be drafted to say, not only are we impoverished, but also wizard. So send an appropriate with all due haste because this is needed at once. But it is very open-ended. Remember, it's on the authority of, I'm a random priest authorized by a random local lord to send someone. They might take us seriously. They might not. But I sent the letter, so I feel good.
I actually have a question, and I address this to both Vesper and Gregory.
Okay.
What, and maybe you know this better than me because I'm not well versed in magic and politics that much. Wink, wink.
Mhm.
But I don't know why I winked. Anyway, the role of the druids here as sort of a beacon in matters and affairs and things like that. What role do they share? Are they in like a seat of power, respect, or anything of that matter?
Well, as near as I can tell, druids usually preside over Brahmanic law, being if your lord doesn't tell you what to do, then the druids tell you what to do. And druids usually are supposed to not live here. So the druids are supposed to be impartial. They're supposed to like not live here, so they don't have any like issues with each other. And they're also supposed to be watching the Giasai, or magical portents. Some people think to be Giast is to be forced to do something, but no, what that is the druids are supposed to come by and say, the health of the Lord is the health of the land, and we can't help but notice the land is falling apart. So you guys need to do what we say, or everything's going to fall apart. Signed, the druids. Oh, wait, we don't sign anything. We're oral tradition, so we show up in Oogaboo at you. Well, they wear the cloaks and carry the shillelaghs and look all mysterious and ooh, mistletoe. Ooh, we're druids.
And they hold big festivals too.
Yes, they do. I bring this up because is it not possible to, since the druids already warned us about the magic issues and the things stolen from the past and whatnot, that there might be the window of all this magic stuff happening? Is it not possible to maybe request their help in some form?
Well, they're already helping. They're already here.
They're already allied greatly with our new High King.
Well,
yes, but what I mean though is
let me explain this, friend. Let me explain this to you in terms that I'm going to have to make simple and blunt. The druids say they're helping, but they're a bunch of pagans, and thus everything they do is useless.
That is an interesting opinion, Vesper, but on other matters, they do assent to the current High King. They specifically control the weather to show their assent to the High King, and the High King personally has their own druidic advisors of high stance within their own society or culture or what have you, and I presume hold quite a lot of sway over the rest of them.
They don't control the weather. They just talk about how evil's everywhere. And they're right. That's why we need to bring anti-evil people in here, rather than just complaining about, portents and the health of the land and that kind of thing. I mean,
I'm looking at both of you confused now.
Let me put this another way. The druids were already here, and they're already here for centuries. And look outside. Everything's going to hell. Therefore, the druids aren't doing crap. What we need is more. We need more pimps, more drug pusher. Wait, no, I mean we need more. We need more soldiers.
Wait, what was that third thing?
Whoa,
You
wait a
need lion, Jesus.
What was that movie?
Yeah,
the Godfrey Ho movie.
Yeah.
What we need is we need more order, we need more hope, we need more charity, we need more crusaders. What we need is something that can actually fight this. Plus, also it's a foreign power invading, so all the better reason. So
So-
All the better to turn the foreign powers against each other.
I'm not sure why I'm still talking to you, because I got my letter stamped, so I'm off to the docks to get this mailed post haste.
Have fun, Vesper. Enjoy your meal.
As fast as my chubby little raccoon feet will carry me.
I just have a quick
Go.
question from Harmon, I guess. What's it called again when the land reflects the health of the king? What's that?
The land is the king, the king's
The technical name for that is pagan bullshit. Why do you?
Well, I mean, because it's apparently what anyone who's from here has been growing up on.
Yes. True.
And if the the druids control the weather and the land and everything, does that not also mean that they're more divine than not?
Well, I have a problem with the logic here. The druids' claim is that the land is falling apart because the health of the king is falling apart. Hence why we saw the storm rising when the king got upset before he died. If that's true, then the druids don't control the weather. The druids are saying, look, as our leaders fail us, so the land fails us. They're not controlling the weather, they're reporting on the weather.
Sure, but they're doing the reading, though. I mean, they're the soothsayers, to say.
Yes, but allow me to quote the wisdom of the ages when I say you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows.
Right. I mean, that's fair. I'm just trying to be in the mindset of somebody who's grown up with this.
Yeah.
Well,
you're looking at it with the absolute view of not only modern day
Right.
knowledge, but also somebody who's come up with a different religion.
Come up with this. Well, it's also weird the way you guys phrase it, like the druids are controlling the weather. No, they're observing the weather. If they were controlling it, then they'd be treasonous because they would be causing bad weather and blaming it on a bad king. That's treason, and they're not.
Wait, are you saying that they only observe the patterns, and then predict it ahead of time, and then use that to come up with bullshit? Oh my gosh!
I'm saying that it's kind of like a two-weighted argument. If the druids are observing the portents, they're not doing anything to stop this. They're only warning us that things are terrible, which is all the more reason to cause for aid. And if the druids aren't reading the portents and are causing the bad weather, all the more reason not to put anything in faith in anything they say. Both ends would say, we need the shining light.
Well, I'm saying that if they're warning us that things are bad and they're reading the portents, then they're more aligned with what everybody else in the island is about than anything else, and thus anybody from the islands, like Harmon, would be siding with the druids about things are bad, we recognize this, but these guys, like anybody can read the weather, but a meteorologist can predict it. The druids are predicting things. Maybe they're not telling us, but they are our religious meteorologists.
But they're telling us that everything is going to hell, so we need support.
Right.
They're not even telling us what to do. They're just telling us everything is going bad.
So to wrap it back around to the initial question, where do the druids stand? The answer is with whatever is happening, and as long as we don't specifically try to piss them off, everything will probably be fine.
Well, I'm just saying that from a local's perspective, it seems to me that the druids are the people we would side with and not call in religious zealots from outside.
Well, I'm sure they would be disappointed that people who can actually do something to save the people would show up. But I mean, the druids aren't helping us. We're in deep.
I understand from a meta perspective that everything you're saying is right, but I'm saying from an in-character perspective, why would I call on the Vatican if my local druid guy can give me some crystals and that's going to cure everything that ails me?
That's what I'm getting at. If the druids,
Harmon is making a lot of sense for someone who doesn't actually try a lot.
Hey,
let me propose this, Vesper.
Yeah, but if the druids aren't even giving us crystals, they're not giving us anything.
No, that's what I was going to say next. Vesper, do you think it is possible to get some direct material or personnel aid from the druids, since I believe they don't hate you?
If they could give us aid, why haven't they already given it to us? What are they waiting for?
Well, hold
Maybe
on.
you just need to ask. I don't know.
Hold on. I would actually push back against that. They did give you information. Information is power in of itself.
Yeah, they told us. They told us the monarchy is falling apart, and we can see that.
They told us more than that, though. No.
That's what my notes say. That the health of the rulers is the health of the land, and these rulers are unhealthy.
So your notes that you wrote as the person who hates the druids was that the druids were unhelpful and did not help you.
I don't hate the druids. They mean well, and I have conferred with them. The problem is that they have warned us there's a great evil beneath the land, but they have but their oral traditions. And let's face it, the land already sank once. That's why it's the Isles. If their stories be believed, the land already sank once, and that's the Isles. That's why we need modern, smart people to come in here and deal with this.
And the 4 tablets, that information?
Well, the tablets aren't even on this island anymore. They're they're secured by some foreign power.
Understandable, but now consider the ramifications of knowing that knowledge and how it can kind of...
Well, then we shouldn't be here. We should be going after the freaking foreign tablets now, shouldn't we? Because they're not here.
Actually, good question. What do we need in order to pursue that while we are out at sea and traveling, perhaps towards one such location? Do we have an idea? Can you help us form an objective, Vesper? And this is your research too, isn't it, Spencer?
Yes.
If there's some...
We still got this stupid book that we can't read.
Wait, what book is
Right.
that?
Well, we
you've
can
had
read
some
it. It just
time.
has weird symbols in it.
It's the illegible book that we can't read.
That's right. You've had some time. Did Vesper manage to get any study in over the past couple of days?
Interesting question.
We've been busy with the harbor catching on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, but in the days that they were clearing everything out, were you researching or were you actually aiding, disrupting the wreckage?
I mean,
Research seems important right now.
I mean, if Spencer and I could decipher the book, we would.
So what do you need to decipher it?
Well, what did we figure out what language it's written in?
Basically, it's very similar to the symbols that were on the different menhir, the different standing stones.
Maybe you should ask the druids.
Well, the druids could probably decipher it. Where did we get this book again? I thought we got it from the druids.
Nope, somebody dropped it off at the.
Oh, there you go. Let's take the weird book that we can't read and give it to the druids. Maybe they can read it, but you know, maybe they know something.
But remember also that's the one that described the ley line, which was what basically the druid said about, you know, the ley lines being the sort of magical.
Right. It's a book filled with crazy druid crap. Maybe we should get the druids to read it.
Yes, and also explain it. One of the things that they did was protect the ley lines to make sure that they were not tampered with, because that would alter the magical nature of the islands. Right, could cause harm.
This place is full of evil.
Well, the ley lines themselves haven't done anything to anybody.
Except sink half the island. It was like sink the original continent and turn it into islands. That's what the druids told us.
Which means somebody used them. So the ley lines themselves were not evil. They were just like anything else. They were used for...
Using magic for worldly, greedy purposes is the root of all evil.
True. And the druids don't want that to happen again.
Yep. Well, then I guess we could go give the book to the druids if you guys want.
I don't think Duncan's seen this book. What does this book look like, just so I know? Like, it's like a... just.
Oh, it's wrapped in human flesh. It's stitched with the tears of babies and...
So
That's
it's
the
an
other
Necronomicon.
book.
Okay.
It's actually a travelogue that has extra symbols that have been added in one of the maps. And it has annotations on the roads, major roads that seem to be ancient roads. That you go through the islands and you see these sort of old roads that are properly maintained. And during the investigation, you found out that the symbols that were there match symbols in sort of weight stones along these highways, basically these roads, wide roads, which is interesting because these roads are hundreds of years old and used almost by everybody, and yet they haven't really decayed much. So apparently, these roads follow the main ley lines, which are lines of magical power, and somehow they're tied together. And one of the things that the druids do is protect them from people interfering with them, stuff like that, so that nothing bad happens. You know, don't mess with the land itself, because bad juju can happen.
That's interesting. Okay.
I said apparently hundreds of years ago, maybe 1,000 years ago, the bad thing that really happened was that literally the center of the island sort of collapsed into the sea. So, yeah.
I would like to accompany you to the druids if possible, Vesper.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Have you made your peace with the hereafter?
No. I'm going to make my peace soon, though.
Sooner than later.
More than likely.
All right, so I guess Duncan and I are going on a pilgrimage to meet the druids. Spencer,
Right, while I continue to take care of business and yeah.
Yeah, and Spencer, you have a head for these kinds of nonsensical affairs. Would you want to accompany us?
I was hoping you would say that.
Okay. And
Harmon and I will continue here then.
I assume, Harmon, you'll stay absorbed in the duties of state and stay here with Gregory.
I'll continue to guard Gregory, yes.
Well, just so.
So we're doing this in the time before you go south.
In the days between the assault on the port and the clearing efforts.
Let me go find a page and tell them we need to mail this letter that says we're writing to the Pope for support.
Oh, God.
Okay. So we're basically going to leave it here because we're about to, go to the next game in a few minutes. Oh, half an hour. So let's do the end of session stuff, shall we? There's a lot of things happened today. A lot of things. This is a very exciting day. I thought that battle was going to take a little bit
going
longer.
Down.
Yeah, a lot is going down, and
a religious debate at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Always fun to do those.
Sorry to interject all the time during the battle, but that's where Harmon lives. So anything I can do to make the battles last longer.
No, that's fine, man.
Oh, you sure you're not killing them yet? What if it does this extra damage? Let me describe all this stuff. Don't let the battle end! I haven't seen a battle in 3 episodes!
Blood, sweat, and tears. So we go into the end of session. And as always, I sort of go from bottom to up. So first of all, let's go at any gifts from any accomplished goals. You, in fact, did accomplish a goal, which was escort the king to his coronation. You can mark that off. Get a +1 for that.
Well, a gift. Whenever you figure that one out.
Yeah. Now the fun part is experience for role-playing the motto or your character's motto. So let's rattle off the mottos and see who accomplish today their motto. I think let's start with Harmon.
You need to know that you're in for the fight of your life.
And indeed, as far as Vesper and Gregory are concerned, that came pretty close to being the fight of their lives. You know, explosions and wicked creatures and more explosions and fire ships. Yes.
I've had worse full body burns.
Yeah. And dunking yourself in salt water. That always helps. Yeah. That was fun. So we covered that one. Spencer, don't think you want us to do with secrets, if I'm correct.
I don't think so, but as it's stated, these mottos are supposed to be more of a spirit rather than a letter sort of consideration.
Affirmations.
Yeah. Affirmations, yeah.
I didn't go blabbing any of the secrets I do have, if that helps.
Oh, yeah, you avoided, spilling the beans to the cognoscenti connection, so I was like, I'm not going to tell them. They don't need to know. I'm not going to tell them. That's good. That's a point.
They get to know what they need to know.
Yeah. Okay, mum's the word. Gregory.
I'm fit to be the king.
You took charge of the battle. You led from the front.
Charge and I blew stuff up. That's what a king's supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Command from the front. Vesper, brother Vesper. I have to get across. I gave you the title. I have to get used to the idea that you are a brother Vesper. It was just a bit.
I definitely kept everything in ecumenical context. So.
Yes.
But also, crap, there were 3 rational wizards. I guess I should make a token effort to use the hostile magic I have, pathetic as it is.
At least you have hostile magic.
In theory, yeah. Yeah, I confused 2 fire elementals.
And
every bit counts.
And Duncan?
Yes. Charity begins at home. I'm kind of interesting, and it's funny how Duncan's kind of becoming the voice of the people in a little bit of a weird way here. You know, after that second round of like streetwise with everybody, finding out everyone's going hungry and tired and angry, and seeing where this is likely going to lead for the whole Isles, you know, I definitely want to do my best to make sure that they aren't forgotten at this point.
True enough.
So that's how I would look at that right now.
Yeah, so we got that. And last but certainly not least, the briefing. And I'm really interested in everybody's opinions on this one, because this was a roller coaster ride of a.
Oh yeah, this went up and down. The fight was really interesting. I was actually really wondering, like, oh, I wonder what else could be at play here. Okay, so not only are we trying to stop boats, we also might have to fight the salamanders. There might also be an invasion directly afterwards. We might have to put out the boats. There were a lot of fun options to go with. I think that was very good.
Things are brewing.
I was surprised myself about this fight, that the weapons the siege weapons didn't take as long as a pistol to reload. But if that's what you wanted to do, then that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, it did help that there was two of us kind of loading and like taking a double action to get it up there. So
I keep wanting to open up the the Akoma book that has cannons and everything in it, the rules for them.
Yeah, it's got trebuchets. I mean, in general,
mortars.
Ironclaw is a very old school game where things take rounds are measured in seconds, and thus there's supposed to be only a few things that you can do. And some weapons, such as siege weapons, players are supposed to be able to get several turns in before a gun or a siege weapon could be reloaded. That's not always very dramatic. Some games prefer to use dramatic time, which is things take as long to happen as it would be interesting to happen. So yeah, the siege weapon, probably would have taken longer. But then again, moving around in a larger thing, like Myriad Song had the idea of what was called long rounds, which was the idea that instead of playing on a 1 square equals 1 meter scale, you could play on 1 square equals 10 meters, and then each round was 10 times as long. So even though you got single actions, you could move further spaces and use bigger weapons because they'd be on a bigger scale than what you're usually seeing in these dungeon type games, which is 5 guys facing off against 5 guys. So I could see a lot of this was being used for narrative purposes. Honestly, the scale for today's battle was ridiculously tiny. Like, these quays are only like, a meter or two wide, when realistically,
4 meter full gap.
Right. Yeah. When realistically they would be everything would have been on a much larger scale. So, I can understand how you might want to do that. It wasn't until we got into Myriad Song, which has like freaking artillery in it and rifles, like modern day battles. Realistic battles on a realistic scale would take place in scales of like 30, 50, or 100 meters and have a lot more micromanaging that I think a lot of people would find fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm built for it. I'm ready for it. You want to do it? Throw it at me.
Well, the problem is you've got people like Raktus and myself who hate fun. So,
I mean, well, to be fair, I also hate fun, but only in certain increments. Like for me, like the battle was interesting. I love the premise of it. It's very unusual and weird. But I'm kind of also with like I was actually surprised that I'm only have like a 12-meter range to shoot my bow to hit a guy without penalty. I thought that was like a little off personally, but we roll with it, see what it is.
I mean, that's the standard though.
You're a sharpshooter. I mean, that's fine. If people who don't have that ability, the range penalty kicks in after 4 meters.
Oh no, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah,
it's just that I should not have had that. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it should have been more than 12 meters away. So I'm kind of with you in terms of the size, but it was still fun to do, and it was nice to get like a combat which is not just hey, let's like knock out or kill a bunch of guys. Hey, we got to stop ships from blowing up everything.
Oh, was that not what you were doing? I was trying to knock out and kill a bunch of guys.
I was trying to stop the ships from moving because,
Yeah, so did I.
Well,
I looked up the names of ship parts, so when my turn came around, it's like, okay, I want to blow the keel of the front stem of the ship, so it'll act like a giant scoop the water to slow everything down. I was getting ready.
I think you're both saying the same thing, which is that this was not a typical kill all enemies type battle. This had strategic issues involving the landscape. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm also a fan, and I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with this. I kind of like the role playing debate we just did towards the end there. I always love that kind of stuff because we get like good dynamics, and we also get a good chance to kind of flex the characters a little bit. You know what I mean? Like get them like really out there more, and I would hope to participate in more of those as we go, so long as we don't actually kill each other afterwards.
Well,
I mean we could, but since the campaign started, I was always expecting like these talks would eventually happen, where we have to decide, wait a second, which side of this are we actually supporting? I've been kind of just going status quo with it for a while, and just going, it's like, yeah, I'm with the king, yeah, I'm doing my thing, and I guess everyone's okay with it. And I was waiting for this kind of stuff to pop up. So now that it is, this is great to hear. I love hearing this.
I feel like Harmon tunes out a lot. Harmon tunes out. Well, it's because Harmon's not really. I'm not here to be a thinker. I'm here to do the hard labor.
It's okay, Harmon. I trust you, so you can trust me.
Every so often, something will come around, and I'll be thinking, wait a second. Harmon's from this island. Vesper is constantly going on about all this other crap. I grew up with the druids. The druids have done everything for me. This guy's just bad-mouthing the druids left and right, and they're just... I trust the druids. I don't know Vesper.
They throw such good holidays, though.
I envision Duncan also kind of being from the Isles, from like this island specifically. The woman that I gave all that money to is actually, you guys don't know this, but out of character, that's like his wife. So, he's working to make sure that we stay fed. And yes, you can do what you want with that, Mr. GM.
I like that perspective. That woman that I gave all my money to is like a wife. Where do you come from?
But like the way I'm
puts in new perspective the argument of like, by the way, the peasants need food, Mr. Noble Lord.
but that's also kind of how Duncan operates. Like, I don't want to give away too much of what I perceived as the backstory for him, but like he's coming from that. He has the foot in that world already, and he's been able to kind of like come to this station where he's trying to do something about it in his own way. Since he's like kind of like a local boy, I guess in that way, he would also look at the druids more fondly than say the church. Although he would not dismiss the church either, because they're also helping out too. So he's kind of like in the middle of where between Harmon and Vesper, in terms of like those extremes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean Harmon's a lowborn. I mean, he's a soldier. He's a D12 soldier, so he's an awesome soldier. But he's just a soldier. He's fought the King's Wars. I mean, he's fought the King's Wars. He's now a King's man, and well, I mean, like I said, the druids, they read the portents to tell if the king is doing a good job or not. I mean, obviously Vesper has a different interpretation of what reading the portents means, but Harmon's not a sophisticated guy. He's real dumb, and he's thick as well. At the same time, though, he knows what he's grown up with, and at some point, we've all had the experience where someone has said something that turns out to be true, but goes completely against what we're used to, and our first thought is, no, you're wrong. That's not what I know. And that's Harmon to Vesper. Vesper might be making a lot of sense, and everything's true. That's not what I'm used to. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with that, we are calling it a day. But before we do, of course, we have any and all shout-outs. So let's start. Who wants to do the first shout-out?
Hey, I'm Griffin. I'm running Urban Jungle. Come join us up next as terrible, horrible things will happen to everybody deep within the earth as they try to stop terrible cults from doing terrible things. It's fun. It's exciting. It's evil. Come and join us.
And I might as well hype. So we're playing this on July 12th. While this is going on, Ironclaw is having a Kickstarter for Book of Corals, which is going to add a lot more island hopping and far, east Philippines, Micronesia, all kinds of crazy island type stuff. That's currently in Kickstarter. So pledge now for unique rewards.
Of course, Duncan.
Well, the only shout out I have is my name's Rob. I do a lot of writing for the website techraptor.net. We do news, reviews, previews. This is a standard video game website, but we also do tabletop stuff as well from time to time. And please, if you're looking for an alternative website to check out for all that stuff, please give it a go.
Arcloyd?
Yes, and Mark Lloyd. I run a play-by-post online Ironclaw game that seeks to go through the Book of Adventures. And I'm also the poor fool who stayed up all night to make those status markers that you saw in Roll20 today.
Nice. And I'll go ahead before we hand it over to Theta. I am your GM, GMing for this wonderful people. Go by Lessons Learned 1. I'm a day streamer, variety streamer. I will be going back in time to Dragon Age Origins tomorrow during the day. Also have a podcast, either Mondays or Tuesdays, called the Lesson Learned Podcast, which is all about gaming and video games, and we complaining about that. And of course, evenings I'm doing the final run-up on the DLC for Dragon Age Inquisition. I call it Dragon Age Snarquisition because I'm making fun of everyone and everything within Dragon Age. So, Ada, take it away.
Yeah, I saw those markers that you put down, Arcloyd, and I was looking at the handouts, and the handout was the old one. I was like, I don't know what these markers mean. So I just went back to the old colors real quick. Well, not even the old colors, y'all's new colors. I'm still used to colors from 5 years ago. Anyway, that's just me going off on tangent. I am Theta. I run the channel. Oh yeah, we got games coming up 2 days a week. We got Eclipse Phase coming out Wednesday afternoon. We got Zweihander on Wednesday evenings. Griff is going to be joining us now. We got in the Sunday mornings, we have Hackmaster. And Sunday afternoons is this, as you know, because you're here. And if you're not, then come get some. And then Sunday evenings, we have Urban Jungle, another Sanguine game, coming up next if you're already watching.
See you guys.
Take care.